We'll take you now to Queen's Park, where the opposition is currently speaking. Let's listen in to Mart Stiles.
That they might be willing to move forward. If they are, they should do it now. And they can do it quickly, and they would have our support. I have worked at all levels of politics and government over my career, and it is outrageous that in 2024, women are still getting harassed at work with little to no consequence for perpetrators. A few weeks ago at the Rural Municipalities Conference, I decided to wear the Accountability Now shirt to raise awareness about this cause because simply it is a human rights issue. We have these loopholes that continue to be exploited. For years now, our municipal affairs critic, MPP Jeff Birch, others in our caucus, Joel Hardin, MPP, was, I think, one of the first to raise the issues here, Jill Andrew, and all of our official opposition NDP MPPs have been working alongside organizations like Women Say No, like AMO, AMCTO, and unions to get the government to close these loopholes. The solution is very simple. Pass legislation that will hold municipally elected officers accountable for perpetrating violence and harassment in the workplace. Should be simple. Again, where there's a will, there's a way. Let's get this done. Let's work together to close those loopholes, and let's get some accountability now. Thank you very much.
We will now ask Bonnie Crombie, leader of the Ontario Liberal Party, to come and share her thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily, and good morning, everyone. And of course, I want to thank Emily McIntosh and her team for all of your efforts in bringing this very diverse coalition together to fight for what's right. When I was the mayor of the city of Mississauga, our council proudly voted in favor of a motion calling on the Ford government to take strong, decisive action. And now, as Ontario Liberal leader, I'm equally proud to pledge that we will act when we form government. And I made this pledge in my first major speech as leader at the recent Roma conference. In fact, it was my very first formal pledge as leader of the Ontario Liberal Party. And as you know, my colleague, MPP Stephen Blais, who's here with us today, introduced Bill 5, which would have set up exactly such a legal process, creating a system fair to the person who is accused and to the person making the complaint. But rather than passing the bill, or even introducing one of their own, the Ford government simply failed to act. And I want to thank all the opposition parties who are coming together here today, voting in favor of Stephen Blais' bill. This is a fundamental thing. We need accountability. We need transparency. Accountability for those who do the wrong thing. We know politics can be a nasty business, but it doesn't have to be. We can make politics at the school boards, at the council tables, and in our legislature and in parliaments, a safe, inclusive environment. And we can, and we will, hold those who commit those egregious wrongdoings accountable. So thank you to the women who say no for, Women of Ontario Say No for your advocacy. I also want to thank the council members that we have here today from Aurora, Bradford, Woolwich, and Quinte West, and every letter in between, who have passed resolutions in support of creating a fair legal process to uphold respectful behavior by municipal officials. And I call on the Ford government to introduce legislation this session that will address these very concerns. And if they do not, I once again pledge that as Ontario Liberal leader, we will act when we form government in 2026. Thank you.
Okay, I'd now like to introduce leader of the Ontario Green Party, Mike Schreiner, to come and share his thoughts.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you all for being here today. Everyone deserves to feel safe at work. And I want to applaud Emily and everyone involved in the tireless efforts that Women of Ontario Say No have put into pushing for legislation that holds municipally elected officials accountable for violence and harassment in the workplace. I also want to acknowledge my newest caucus colleague, Ashlyn Clancy, for the work she's done on this issue, and I know working with Emily when she was a city councilor in Kitchener. Ethical behavior is fundamental to trust in democracy and the institutions of local government. And the current lack of accountability is completely unacceptable. It sends a poor message to the public and especially women when staff are mistreated, bullied, and harassed, and there are no penalties or repercussions for perpetrators. When those in power can carry out acts of harassment without consequence, each and every one of us in this province loses. Taking action against violence and harassment should not be a partisan issue. And that's why I want to thank my opposition colleague leaders for being here today. And I am pleased to join everyone on this stage in demanding action. I was deeply disappointed when the Conservative government voted against MPP Blaise's bill that would have addressed this issue. They had a chance to do the right thing last year, and we're calling on the government to do the right thing this year. Greens will support any effort that will pass provincial legislation to hold local elected officials accountable for workplace harassment and to establish a process to remove municipal officials found guilty of acts of violence and harassment. We must demand better. Women deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'd now like to ask David Arbuckle to come and speak on behalf of AMCTO, a very important voice in this advocacy effort.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Emily. And also I thank Emily for allowing me the opportunity to bring a bit of a different voice to the table today. So my name is David Arbuckle. I'm the Executive Director for the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario. I know that's a mouthful, so AMCTO. AMCTO is Ontario's largest voluntary association for municipal professionals. We have over 2,200 members in almost all 444 municipalities in the province of Ontario. Our members range from chief administrative officers and senior leadership positions to coordinators and executive assistants and really everything in between. As municipal public servants, our members place a great deal of importance on performing one's responsibilities in an ethical manner. AMCTO has a code of ethics and values, and one of our key value sets in that is supporting elected officials. We know our role in supporting elected officials and really take great responsibility in that. While most councillor-staff relationships...
All right, we have been listening into opposition leaders speaking at Queen's Park.